सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om to all. So in the last session, we started with this little bit of introduction as to why are we studying this text. We started by saying, as human beings, what is our purpose of life? What can be our goal of life? And then we understood that everyone, all of us, at all times want only one thing, and that is happiness. Now, this is strange because the Vedas, the Shastras, which are the authoritative texts in this topic, say that I am of the nature of happiness. So far, we don't have such experience, but they have told, and because they are authority in that, we have to believe in the beginning. Then we will inquire and find out for ourselves. So I want happiness all the time. This is the present state that we all are in. And Vedas and Shastras are telling us that I am happiness. So how to bridge this gap between I want happiness to I am happiness? Now to do this, first thing we have to do is understand what do we mean by spirituality and what is this spiritual path, right? We are last time we discussed all these points. What do we mean by spirituality, or what do we mean when we say that a person is a spiritual person? Means what? Is he seeking something else than all of us, than anybody else? No, everybody is seeking for happiness, but a person who understands that happiness is not outside, but it is within, and therefore I must seek it within myself. Such a person is called as spiritual person, adhyatmika. So our spiritual life starts when we start seeking the happiness within. Spiritual life starts, okay? It will end up where we understand that what we seek is what we are. Not just that it is seeking us, but it is me. That's where we are going to end up. But it begins like this. Now, on this spiritual path, what are all the necessary means I must have? So there we saw that Puja Guruji has written these 4 texts called as sadhana sopan. Sopan means path. Sadhana means means. The means that I must have on this spiritual path. And in short, we saw what are these 4 texts also. Remember, Jnanasara is a journey of a seeker from Baddha to Siddha. Then second is Dhyana Swarupam, everything that I must know about meditation, which is considered to be the highest sadhana. Then Bhakti Sudha, the nectar of devotion. What role does devotion play in my spiritual life? What exactly is devotion? Devotion is towards whom? How it should be practiced? How it should be developed? How to surrender? All these questions will be answered in that text called Bhakti Sudha. And then there is this 4th text which we all will be studying, and that is Manah Shodanam. That's how we came to this topic. Now, what do we mean by Manah Shodanam? Manasaha Shodanam. Shodanam means purification, not research. Purification. Shuddhi. So purification, manasaha, of mind. Purification of mind is what the text title tells us. Now, obviously, the next question will be, why should we purify our mind? Before we go there, we have also understood why must we focus on the mind. Because whether it is my personal life, family life, individual life, professional life, social life, in any kind of life that I have, my mind plays the most important role. Actually, when we say a person, we are actually talking about that person's mind. When we say two people are meeting, it is actually two minds are meeting. When now we all are sitting, though virtually, but we are sitting in front of each other, it is your mind sitting in front of my mind. So mind is actually the most important thing. Number one. Number two, we also understood that from childhood, we have given so much of importance to our body, to develop our body, to maintain it, to keep it fit. We have also paid attention towards our intellect, how to grow it. So we went to school, then we went to college. Don't ask why, etc. We went. That's it. Done. We did. For what? So that our intellect will be developed. And using that, now we are earning money. Actually speaking, isn't it? So we understood that to earn money, I must have knowledge. To gain knowledge, I must develop my intellect. For that, I must go to school, college, etc. I went there and I did this. But we forget a very important factor in all this, and that is mind. We never went to any school, any class to develop our mind, to understand what our mind is exactly. And finally, that's what matters. We have been watching Bollywood movies, etc., for quite a long time. Therefore, we all have these funny ideas that what is that? Love at first sight, falling in love, etc. But now we have lived the life, and therefore we know for the fact that it is never the first sight. And if it is a first sight, then it has to be physical, because you can't understand somebody's mind in the first sight. And later on, you are going to live with that person, means what? You are going to live with that mind for the rest of your life. Now, if at that time the mind is not aligned, the whole family life falls apart. Same thing happens at the workplace also. We may say that this company is very good because I am going to get a lot of money. But if people working in that company do not align to my mind, we fall apart. So at every stage, in every facet of our life, the mind plays very, very, very important role. And somehow we have missed. We have missed what? We have missed training our mind. We have missed understanding our mind. We have somehow so far not focused on our mind at all. And maybe because of that, we have been in situations where we have little bit of joy, but it's followed by a lot of sorrow, lot of what we say, dejection, difficulties, and then again we get some joy, so that our life continues. But that's what has happened. So now is the time to go back and focus on our mind, to understand the mind, to improve it, and see what can be done to purify it. Now, when it is said that the mind is so important in our day-to-day life, it is even more important in the spiritual life. And that's the first topic that Pujya Guruji takes up in this beautiful text. So first 6 verses are actually covering, like they act as an introduction and explain to us how purification of mind is essential and most important in our spiritual life. Now, please understand that purification of mind is required in our personal life also. We have already seen it. In social life also, in family life, in everything it is required. But in spiritual life, it is required even more. And spiritual life is right now most important. Why? Because it is going to give me one solution to all my problems. The happiness which I have been seeking from time immemorial is going to come to me. I am going to understand what that happiness is only by walking the spiritual life. And therefore, we must now focus on spiritual life and see how purifying the mind is very, 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 very important. So let us begin the text. Manah Shodanam. 25 verses are there. We are beginning with the first verse. So every time how we will do is, I will chant the verse. Bhuvanaji will repeat pada by pada. And then we will try to understand first the literal meaning of the verse. And then we will see some important points in that verse. I hope you all have got the book with you. If you have not got the book with you, you can purchase it. The PDF is also shared in the group for you, so that at least the verses you will be able to see and repeat. All of you can repeat, keeping yourself muted. All of you can also repeat after. Yes, Bhuvanaji. Paramatma Dvayanandah.
Paramatma Dvayanandah.
Sarvabhutasthitopiha.
Sarvabhutasthitopiha.
Ajnane navrito drishtaha.
Ajnanena drishtaha.
Tathaiva cha manomalaihi.
Tathaiva cha manomalaihi.
That's sufficient. I will chant. Please listen. Paramatma Dvayanandah. Sarvabhutasthitopiha. Ajnane navrito drishtaha. Tathaiva cha manomalaihi. Let us see the simple meaning. Paramatma Advaya Anandaha. This supreme self, which we have understood as our own nature, is Advaya Ananda. Advaya, non-dual, Ananda, bliss. So the supreme self, which is my own nature, is of the nature of this non-dual bliss. This is the first statement that Pujya Gurudev makes, Pujya Guruji makes. Okay. Now you understand why I was giving that introduction. That it directly starts with a sixer. The final teaching of Vedanta is given in the very first quarter, first pada itself of the text. Paramatma Advayanandaha. I am of the nature of non-dual bliss. What do you mean by non-dual? Non-dual means there is nothing other than me. Simple. There is only one infinite, unbroken, undivided, untainted, supreme reality, which is my own nature, which is of the nature of bliss. It's not even a quality. It is of the nature of bliss. Why not quality? Because when there is quality, the object remains different from the quality. For example, we say sugar is rectangular or what we call cubical in shape. Now that's a quality of sugar. Sugar cube, we say, no? But that doesn't mean that it is always like that. You can get powdered sugar also. So sweetness is the nature of sugar, cube or powdered or small or big, are qualities of sugar. You see, when we say sugar cube, so that cubical form of sugar is quality of sugar. It is different from sugar. But you cannot separate out sweetness from sugar. Why? Because it is nature of that sugar. Similarly, this supreme reality, which is my own self, is of the nature of bliss. It has not got a quality of bliss, but it is of the nature of bliss. And how is it? Advaya, non-dual. There is nothing other than it. One without a second. That's what is called as Advaya. So this Paramatma is non-dual bliss and Sarva Bhuta Sthitaha Api Ha. Ha means indeed Sarva Bhuta Sthitaha. It is indeed Sthitaha, seated, Sarva Bhuta, in and through every being. It is present in all beings. Means what? Because it is one non-dual self, it is the self of all. In the last session, we started, if you remember, with one topic where we said that Arjuna, when had a doubt in the Kurukshetra, which he asked Bhagavan Shri Krishna about what should he do. And we said that the confusion in that duty came because of ignorance of identity. Remember? We had seen in the last session. So what did that mean? That Arjuna forgot that he is standing there as a warrior and not as somebody's disciple or somebody's grandson. Now, the moment he forgot his identity, he became confused about his duty. Should I fight or should I not fight? These are my people. How can I fight? But Bhagavan actually did not give him that simple answer. Bhagavan told him that you are that self who neither dies nor kills. So he went to highest identity so that all duty will become clear. Now this is that highest identity that Puja Guruji is also talking about. What is he saying? That in and through all of us, as all of us, there is only one self which is there. That's actually what we can say as the most common factor between all of us. See, we may say that what is common in all of us, that okay, we all are human beings, fine. We all at least understand English, even if we may not be able to speak properly, but we understand some language. We all have, 2 eyes, 2 ears, etc., etc. These all things we can say. But the most common thing in all of us is we all are that same self who is of the nature of bliss. Why? Because that supreme self is of the nature of bliss and it is present in all beings. Sarva bhuta sthitaha. You see? Paramatma advaya anandaha sarva bhuta sthitaha api. But if I am that supreme self, which is of the nature of bliss, why I do not experience it? Do we feel at any point of time that I am happiness? Never. Never we feel like that. Forget about that also. Sarva bhuta sthita apya also we don't feel. Do we feel that we all are same self? No. The moment we see anybody, we start seeing the differences. Hardly we see something common. Forget about one common thing which is among all beings that we have not even thought about. But if I am that supreme self, which is of the nature of all, why I don't experience it? Explained in the next line. Ajnanena avritaha. Because that supreme self, my true nature, is avritaha. Avritaha, veiled, covered. Covered by what? Ajnanena, by ignorance. Ajnanena avritaha. It is covered by ignorance. And therefore, adrishtaha. Adrishtaha means what? Therefore, it is not seen. It is there. That is my nature. But I can't see it. I don't experience it. Why? Because it is veiled. Because it is covered. Suppose I am sitting in a closed room. And I keep saying that what is this? Sun is not there. Arey, sun is there. You have kept all the windows and doors closed. You open it, sunlight will come inside. You see? The problem is not whether sun is there or not. Sun is there. Or suppose, even let us go one step further and say, I am outside, but I close my eyes and I say, what is this? Sunlight is not there. You open your eyes. Sun is there. Sunlight is also there, but you have closed your eyes. It is veiled. It is veiled from what? It is veiled from my vision. So the supreme self, which is my nature, is there, is me. But I don't experience it. Why? Because it is covered. It is veiled by ignorance. And therefore, it is adrishta. It is not seen. Not just ignorance. What does he say? Tatha evacha. And also, manomalaihi. And also by impurities of the mind. Mala. Mala means impurity. What do we mean by impurity? You see, when we say glass of water is there, that glass of water is pure means what? When we say something is pure means what? Pure means that there exists nothing other than it. That is called as pure. Careful. And impurity means what? Something other than it exists in it. That is called as impurity. Isn't it? So a glass of water is impure means what? There is something other than water in the water, because of which we call it as impure water. Correct? So some dust particles may be there, some mud may be there, something other than water exists in it. Now here what is said, manomalaihi, by the impurities of mind, means what? Mind by itself is not impure. Please see. When we say impurities of mind, means what? Mind is not impure, but there are some impurities which have been added on. So not there in its nature, but these are the impurities which have come. What are those impurities? We all know. We all are probably more familiar with these impurities than with anything else. With anything else, anger, jealousy, pride, likes and dislikes, hatred, passion, greed. These are all impurities of mind. Now what has happened? Though I am of the nature of that supreme self, I am happiness, but I don't experience it. Why? Because it is covered. My nature is covered with ignorance and with these impurities. Fear is also a kind of impurity. Yes. So with these impurities and because of the ignorance, my nature is covered. Then what happens? I don't know who I am. And you see, the moment I don't know something, I start imagining something else. Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmaya used to call it as non-apprehension of reality creates misapprehension of the world. Means what? I don't know who I am. And because I don't know who I am, then I think I am this body, or I am this mind, or I am this combination of body, mind and intellect, or I am this jiva, I am this soul who is born to these parents in this particular place. I have this birth date, I have this name, then I have these degrees and I am living, I am of this age, etc., etc. All of that starts where I don't know who I am. So ignorance of my true nature creates a false identity about oneself. And it is always that false identity is limited. Always. You see, our mind works like that only. When we don't know something, we superimpose or imagine something else. Sometimes somebody asks you, what do you think? What do you think? About what? Who will win the World Cup? What do you think? Then you will say, I don't know, but I think India will win. Now, question is, if you don't know, how can you think? No, but that's how the mind works. That I don't know, mind doesn't like it. Therefore, it immediately tells what I think is right. Sometimes we are going somewhere and somebody asks, should we go left or right? I don't know, but I think we should go right. If you don't know, how can you tell? No, that's how mind works. When I don't know something, I imagine it to be something. That's how our mind works. So I don't know my real nature. I don't know who I am. And therefore my mind thinks that I am this. I am this body, mind, intellect put together as a soul who is living this life, whose name is Br.Ved Chaitanya. He is of this much age and he is staying here and he has got these things that he likes. He has got these things that he doesn't like, and this is what I am. Now this Brahmachari Chaitanya is going to be a limited entity. Why? Because I am a jiva, I am an individual. I have limited power, limited knowledge. Now from that limited entity, from that feeling of limitation arises desire to be complete. And therefore then our, what we say, seeking starts. Then we start saying that, oh, if I have that, then I will be complete. If I get married, then I will be complete. No, I am not talking about myself. Okay, I'm just giving example. Don't have any funny ideas. Suppose I get car, then I will be happy. If I have house, then I will be happy. If I get rid of my wife, then I will be happy. See, all these funny things start when I think that I am not complete. I want to be complete, and that thing will make me complete. Actually speaking, I am that complete, and therefore I seek to be complete. Every single thing in the world goes back to its nature. True or not? You heat some water and keep it, it will come back to room temperature. You keep it in the fridge, it will become cool, but you bring it out, again it will go back to its nature. You drop the water from 10th floor, it will come down because that's its nature. It will go back to its nature. We are complete. We are of the nature of bliss, and therefore we want to go back to our nature of complete bliss. Advaya Ananda, first line. Paramatma Advaya Ananda. So, ignorance and impurities of my mind cover my true nature. From there arises a feeling of limited individuality. From there arises desire to be complete. And from there arises seeking for joy. So the state that we are in right now, that we are seeking joy in the outside world, and we think that if we get that, then we will be happy. If we get this, then I will be happy. Those kind of things have arisen because of this lineage. This lineage. Generally, in Vedantic terms, it is called as anartha parampara. Those who have studied Vedanta, please remember this. Anartha parampara. Anartha means calamity. Parampara means lineage. Lineage of calamity means what? Avidya, ignorance, gives rise to kama, desire. That gives rise to karma, action. Means what? Avidya, I don't know my nature, therefore I consider myself to be limited individual. Then arises kama, desire, that I want to be complete. And then karma, action, to get happiness from the world. And there I am. Started from where? That I am of the nature of undivided, complete, infinite bliss. And now where I am seeking happiness in and through everything. Wherever I go, wherever I am, I want happiness. And why all this has happened? Because my nature is covered by ignorance and impurities of my mind. So the first verse is actually telling us where we have to reach and what is that we have to do to reach there. Simple. Destroy ignorance, remove the impurities of mind, and you will know your real nature. Swamiji, very simple. Very simple. But there is some problem. What is the problem? Let us see the second verse. Bhuvanaji. Jnane tu tadajnane.
ज्ञानेन तु तज्ज्ञाने
Nashte bhati swayam hisaha.
नष्टे भाति स्वयं हि सः
Satyame tattathapiha.
सत्यमेतत्तथापीह
Kashtamekam cha vartate.
कष्टम् एकं च वर्तते
Jnanena tu tadajnane. Nashte bhati swayam hisaha. Satyame tattathapiha. Kashtamekam cha vartate. There is a problem. What? Jnanena tu tad ajnane nashte. You just said that we are of the nature of infinite bliss. Correct. But I don't know that my own nature is covered, veiled by what? By ignorance and impurities of mind. Now, ignorance can be removed by knowledge, isn't it? So, jnanena, by knowledge, tad ajnane nashte. When that ignorance is destroyed, saha swayam hi bhati. That means what? That supreme self, which was explained in the previous verse, Paramatma Advayanandaha, saha swayam hi bhati. It illumines by itself. See, when sun is there, but my eyes are closed, and therefore I am saying that there is no sunlight, it is covered by what? By my own eyes, isn't it? When I open my eyes, do you need to see the sun separately? The sun is already there. Will you say that now I have opened my eyes, show me where is sun? Are you can, sun is already, it is self-luminous. You don't need torchlight to see whether sun is there or not, isn't it? It was only covered by your eyes, which were closed. The moment you open it, sun is already there. Ignorance was covering my true nature. When that ignorance is removed, destroyed, the self shines by itself. Satyam. Guruji says, Satyam. This is fact, correct, true. But etat Satyam, this is true. Tathapi, even then, iha, in this subject, kashtam ekam cha vartate. There is one kashtam. Kashtam means what? Difficulty. This custom word is there in all our regional languages, isn't it? Little bit difference of meaning will be there, which I came to know very recently. Custom in Marathi, etc. Kashta, we say very common parlance word is there. After coming to Kerala, I understood in Malayalam, custom means little different, but it more or less it means same, that it is difficult. It is custom only. Custom only means what? There is some difficulty. What difficulty is there? He will tell. But before we go there, let us understand what is he saying about ignorance removed, etc. You see, I am of the nature of infinite bliss, which is now covered by ignorance. Now, when ignorance is removed by knowledge, I will know my nature. Why? Because that self is self-luminous. Anybody who has studied Atma Bodha text, these are the first 2-3 verses, isn't it? The example there is given is of sun, which is covered by clouds. And when the clouds are removed by the wind, the sun shines by itself, isn't it? For that, we need to understand one important concept that we will understand, and then we will go forward. See, to gain something, that gain is of two types. I may want to gain anything. It is of two types. First type is called apraptasya praptihi. Gaining something which I don't have. For example, I don't have TV. And therefore I put efforts, I select the TV, I go there, I give money, and then I purchase TV, I gain TV. Okay? This is called apraptasya prapti, gaining something that I don't have. And second thing is praptasya prapti. Praptasya prapti means gaining something that I already have. Now you will say, what is this? If you already have, then how can you get? See, because sometimes what happens, we have it, but we don't know we have it. I see many of you are wearing specs. Many of you here I can see. Majority of times it has happened with all of you that you keep your specs on your head and you don't know it is on your head, and you keep on searching it every single place. From morning, specs gone. From morning, specs. Where did I keep my specs? Where did I keep my specs? In every drawer, in every cupboard, in every place you see. Not only that, you become so angry, must be my husband or wife who must have taken it and kept it somewhere else. How many times I have told her, maybe, my son, he kept his foot on my specs and specs broke, and now he doesn't want to tell me, therefore he has, put it in the dustbin. Something must have happened, and therefore with that anger you call him, come here, where is my specs? and the sun comes very quietly and says, on your head. And then you say, oh, now what has happened? It was always with you. Even when you were searching for it, it was with you. But when the sun told that it is on your head, what happened? Praptasya praptihi. You gained what was already gained. You understand two different things? TV I did not have, and therefore I went and purchased. Specs I had, but I did not know. And therefore, when the knowledge came, I automatically gained what I already had gained. Now, in the first kind of attainment, apraptasya prapti, I have to first get the knowledge of how to gain it and then actually perform an action to get it. I first have to understand, suppose I don't have TV and I want TV, I first should know what is the TV, how many companies are selling it, what are the types, LED TV or this TV or that TV, 21 inches, 35 inches, how much is the cost, where do we get it? All this knowledge I have to gain, followed by an actual action of going and purchasing it, then I will have TV. In apraptasya prapti, that gain attainment is two-step process. Knowledge followed by action. But in the second type, praptasya prapti, it is only single step process. What? Knowledge. After knowledge, action is not required. Why? Because you already have it. It was already with you. Now, some of you who don't have specs, don't think that this example is only for them. Otherwise, they will say, I don't have specs, so I think this is not for me. Sometimes we have keys which are in our own pocket and we search for it everywhere. Isn't it? And the most actual place where we should search first, we forget that and rest all the places we search. So many times it happens. Shankaracharya ji would give example in Atmabodha, Swakantha Bharnam Yatha. He will say, just as a necklace that you are wearing it, it is there in your own neck, but you are searching for it. Why? Because you forgot, you don't know. Now, in this second type of gain, what happens is, I have it, but I don't know it. And therefore, when I get the knowledge, that's it. No action is required after that. When I understand that my specs are already on my head, what do I have to do? Do I have to get the specs? No, they are already with me. Now, gaining my own self is of this second type. When it is said that my own true nature, that self is of the nature of infinite bliss, it is me and I am already with myself. I don't have to go to a shop and purchase that self. Please give me self, little bit, 1 kg self you give me, 1 kg self. You can't do that. Why? Because it is me. I already have gained that infinite bliss. Why? Because it is me, but I don't know it. Therefore, somebody should come, sun. Sun came and told that it is on your head. Like that, Guru should come, Shastra should come and tell you what you are seeking is you. Therefore, in this type of attainment, knowledge is sufficient. No more action is required after knowledge. It's a very important point when it comes to Vedanta. Why? Because the problem is only ignorance. And therefore, solution is only knowledge. Action is not required. So, since ignorance is covering my nature, the moment ignorance is removed by knowledge, job is done. Jnanena tadajnani nashte. When the ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, swayam hi bhati. Who saha? He, that supreme self, swayam hi bhati, it shines by itself. It is of the nature of self-luminous. And therefore, it does not require any other luminosity. And therefore, when that ignorance is removed by knowledge, nothing else is required. But my dear, there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that along with ignorance, there is something else also which is Covering. We already saw in the first verse that there are two things that are covering, isn't it? What is that? Ajnanena manomalaihi. The second is impurities of mind. Now, Guruji starts explaining that because of these impurities of mind, we don't even begin the spiritual journey. He is now going to explain in next 4 verses how at every stage of spirituality we need to purify mind. Why? Because without that, that step does not take place. Let us see. Verse number 3. यावन्मला न क्षीयन्ते
यावन्मलान क्षीयन्ते
मनसो रागरूपकाः
मनसो रागरूपकाः
तावन्न तत्त्वजिज्ञासा
तावन्न तत्त्वजिज्ञासा
जायते मानुषे हृदि
जायते मानुषे हृदि
यावन्मला न क्षीयन्ते मनसो रागरूपकाः तावन्न तत्त्वजिज्ञासा जायते मानुषे हृदि. He says it is true that your nature is covered by ignorance, and that ignorance, when removed by knowledge, the self will shine by itself. But how will you reach there? Unless your impurities of the mind are removed, you won't even begin the spiritual life. Yavat, as long as malaha nakshiyante, malaha, impurities, nakshiyante are not, kshina means decay. Unless they are not decayed, unless they are not destroyed, which malas? Manasaha, impurities of mind. What are they? Raga rupakaha, of the nature of raga. Raga means anuraga. Maharashtrian people, pay attention. Raga in Sanskrit does not mean anger. Okay, in Marathi, raga means anger. Raga in Sanskrit means anuraga, like. Raga dvesha, we say, no, that raga dvesha is dislike or hatred. Opposite of that is anuraga, that feeling that this is what I like. That is called as raga. Raga rupakaha malaha yavat nakshiyante. As long as the impurities of mind, such as likes, dislikes, desire, greed, anger, passion, fear, all those we have seen, no, as long as they are not destroyed, tavat, till then, tattva jidnyasa na jayate. You won't even have jidnyasa. Jidnyasa means what? Jnatum ichha jidnyasa. Desire to know. Desire to know what? Tattva, reality. You see, if knowledge has to destroy ignorance, you need to gain that knowledge. To gain that knowledge, you must have desire to gain that knowledge. Isn't it? That's how it works. Unless the desire to know has come, you will not gain that knowledge. Unless the knowledge is gained, ignorance will not be removed. Unless ignorance is removed, self's nature will not be seen. Therefore, to begin with, you must have got desire to know yourself. That desire itself will not jayate, will not arise. Where? Manushe hridi, in human being's mind, in our heart, in our mind, that desire to know itself will not arise if there exist these impurities of mind. Why? You see, you go and tell anybody that you are attending this spiritual class. Manah Shodanam you are attending. You tell Sanskrit word, new word you have learned, you modify there. I have started attending what? Manah Shodanam class. First question that the person will ask is, why? What happened? You see, isn't it? You tell anybody that you are studying Bhagavad Gita. First question they will ask is why? What happened? Means what? Something should happen for us to turn to spirituality. Isn't it? They will, and if you say no, that no, somebody told me and therefore I am joining, they are never satisfied by that answer. They ask me also, Vedji, why did you take brahmacharya? I said, because I liked it. No, they will never be satisfied by that answer. They want to learn, they want to hear from me that I was in love with some girl and then she said no, and therefore I was so heartbroken. I said, there is no fun in this, and therefore I became brahmachari. Then they will say, this is possible. This is possible. Somebody says genuinely that I liked Vedanta and therefore I joined, not interesting answer for them at all. You tell them that there was a tragedy in my life, in my family, my father passed away, and then this was there, and that's where spirituality come to me. That they will appreciate. But you tell them that somebody told me and I went and attended one session and I liked the session and therefore now I am going, not a satisfactory answer for them. Why? Because according to people, something wrong must be there with you if you are turning to spirituality. Isn't it? Why? Because tattva jidnyasa is not possible if there is mala. So they think that if tattva jidnyasa has come, mala is removed somewhere. Now what caused that mala to be removed? They don't know this logic, but that logic is. What caused? I'm not saying something has to happen to turn to spirituality. I mean, surely something has to happen, but not necessarily it has to be bad. That some tragedy has to happen because of which we turn to spirituality. Not necessary. We just hear, we see one poster and we feel that I want to know this. This looks interesting, and then we attend and we like it and we start. Something bad doesn't have to happen. So tattva jidnyasa means what? Desire to know the reality. Tattva, reality. Jidnyasa, jnatum ichcha. Desire to know. That desire to know myself arises how? Somewhere some impurity is removed. Then only our journey starts. Why? Because till the time we are always indulgent in the world. I see people when they think that something has to happen to, something bad has to happen for us to turn to spirituality, it is more or less true, because many times we turn towards good only when something bad happens to us. As long as we are living nice life, comfortable life, we never think of anything higher. That's the fact. That's the fact. Kabir Das ji has said very, very clearly, what? Dukh mein sumirana sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. When you are in trouble, when you are in difficulty, when you are in pain, when you are in sorrow, that is the time you will remember God. Sukh mein kare na koi. When everything is fine, you will not remember God. That's the fact. But interesting line is second. जो सुख में सुमिरन करे उसे दुख काहे को होई. One who remembers God in happiness, why will he ever face any sorrowful situation? So the point is what? For that final ignorance to be removed, you must have desire to gain the knowledge which will remove that ignorance. And that desire itself will not arise if there are impurities in mind. So the spiritual life will not begin if there are impurities in mind. So if all of us have started on spiritual path, remember the purification has already started. That's where we are on the path. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So, okay, so then we started on spiritual path. So, okay, done, no. The impurities are gone now. That's why I have started. He says, no, wait. Next verse number 4. Kathanchit yadi jayeta.
Katamchit yadi jayet
Tatvecha purva karmatah.
tadvecha purva karmatah
Bodhopi jayate yadva.
bodhopi jayate yadva
Tannishtha naiva sambhavet.
tannishtha naiva sambhavet.
He say, Kathanchid yadi jayeta tatvecha purva karmatah bodhopi jayate yadva tannishtha naiva sambhavet. Guruji says, Kathanchid, somehow, Yadi jayeta, even if somehow it is born. What? Tattva ichha. This tattva jidnyasa which was said earlier, no? The desire to know the reality, even if somehow it comes to us. Somehow means purva karmatah. Maybe you can say because of some actions that you have done in the past. Therefore, as a result of it, suddenly one fine day you got this desire that I must know my real nature. Okay, somehow you got it. Not because of purification of mind, okay? Somehow you got it. Some people say, no, no, Swamiji, how can one fine day it can happen? Okay, by grace of God it happened. Or maybe by grace of Guru it happened. Or maybe some satsang that you had because of which it happened. Doesn't matter. Somehow, even if that desire comes, even then, bodha api jayeta. Now then, once you got the desire, then you went to somebody, you went to the Guru, and even if you gain the knowledge, even if you have it, yatva, even if that is there, tan nishtha naiva sambhavet. You won't be established in that knowledge. Means what? You won't be established in that knowledge means if the impurities of the mind exist, you won't be established in the knowledge. See, first step is what? You won't even have this thought of walking spiritual path or trying to know our own nature. If impurities are there, this first desire itself will not come. Now, even if by some factor this desire comes and therefore you go and you gain the knowledge, even then you won't be established in the knowledge. What we mean by not establishing in the knowledge means knowledge is there in the intellect, but it does not come in my life. See, last class we discussed that I am of the nature of happiness. Did we discuss or not? We discussed. Now, last Sunday to this Sunday, did you feel your happiness? You can't say now that you don't have knowledge. You had knowledge. I told you. I told you minimum 10 times. I am happiness. I am happiness. You are all happiness. I told 100 times. See, why? Because that knowledge has come as information. It has not become my knowledge. I have not started feeling it. You see the gap? The nishtha, I won't be established in that knowledge. There is one very famous story of Amtabai that Vimlananji Amma used to tell. That one person was there, Amtabai. He suddenly one day started to think that he is a rat, mouse, rat, and he started thinking that he is rat, and therefore he started doing all the things that the rat does. So he started nibbling on that newspaper, and the moment he will see the cat, he will start running. No, he started being very weird. Therefore, wife, his wife got frustrated. What is this? He is behaving like this, and mouse also, hand also all the time like this. So she took him forcefully to the psychiatrist, and psychiatrist explained that to that psychiatrist everything, that my husband has got a unique problem. What is that unique problem? He thinks he is a rat. No, psychiatrist also said, nice new case. I have heard about anything like this. Anyways, the husband came, and then the discussion etc. started. The psychiatrist also used lot of logic etc. You see, you cannot be rat. This is a picture of rat. Are you like this? Look in the mirror. Do you have tail? No, you don't have tail. Do you have ears like this? No, do you have mouth like this? You cannot be rat. Look at the size of you. Look at the size of rat. You are a man. Look at me. I am a man. I have these 2 years like you have. Everything logically explained. What happened? Logically explained means what? That man finally said yes. What? I am a man. I am not a rat. Okay, did you understand now? Yes. All the logic is clear. Reflection has happened. I have understood. What? I am a man. I am not a rat. Understood. Psychiatrist happy. The man happy. Wife more happy. Because, for obvious reasons, Then what happened? Then this person started to go home, and in 10 minutes came back running to the psychiatrist and said, Doctor, you know what happened? He said, why, what happened? He said, when I was going home, on the way, there is a cat. Psychiatrist said, hey, what did we just see now? He said, no, 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 no. I know I am a man and I am not rat, but the cat doesn't know. The cat doesn't know that I am not rat, so it will eat me. See what is happening? The person has understood. The person is repeating, I am a man, I am not a rat, but doesn't feel it. Somewhere deep inside, he still feels that he is a rat and therefore is scared of cat. So even after we have understood that I am of the nature of happiness, all the logic also understood that there cannot be joy in the world. The joy has to come from within, and that within is only one possibility, that is our own self. Now self can give joy when it has joy, and therefore self has to be the source of happiness. Logic is clear. Therefore I am the source of happiness. It is clear, yet I don't feel it. Why? Manomalaihi, because of the impurities of my mind. Even if I have gained knowledge, bodha api jayate yadva, even if the knowledge is born, I won't be experiencing it. I won't be established in it. Tan nishtha naiva sambhave. Therefore, to begin the spiritual life, you must have purity of mind, so that that thought will come that I must know my own self. Then also to walk the path and gain the knowledge, purification of mind is required. Even after gaining knowledge, to be established in that knowledge, purification of mind is required. So in every single step, purification of mind is required. Now, Guruji says one more point. We'll see one more verse, and then the question is, if you are saying that I will not be established in knowledge, so what? Let me not be established in knowledge. He said, no, 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 there is big problem with that. What is that big problem? Let us see. Verse number 5. Nishtha bhavat paranandah.
निष्ठा भावात् परानन्दः
Jivan muktasya yoginah.
जीवन्मुक्तस्य योगिनः
Sadhakair nanubhuyet.
साधकैर्नानुभूयेत्
Vifalam tarhi sadhanam.
विफलं तर्हि साधनम्
निष्ठा भावात् परानन्दः जीवन मुक्तस्य योगिनः साधकैर्नानुभूयेत विफलं तर्हि साधनम. He says, if you are not established in that knowledge, then everything will go in vain. It will be fruitless. What? Why? Nishtha abhavat. In the absence of being established in the knowledge, if that nishtha, if that firm abidance in the knowledge does not happen, then paranandah na anubhuyeta. Sadhakaihi, by those seekers, paranandah, that supreme bliss which we were talking about as our own nature, na anubhuyeta, we won't be able to experience it. Jivan muktasya yoginah, that bliss which the Jivan Muktas, which the realized masters, which the yogis experience, that won't be experienced by us. Viphalam tarhi sadhanam. Then all the sadhanas that you have done so far, viphalam, will be fruitless. Suppose somebody comes from foreign and says that this is a very interesting chocolate you must eat, and therefore gives you a chocolate. The moment you get the chocolate, see, we are very interesting people. When we give something to somebody, we want to see their face when they do it. Eat. No, I will eat later. No, eat in front of me. Therefore, we give a gift also, we want them to open. You gave the gift, now you go home, they will decide whether to open. No, I want to see. Now, suppose in front of them, you took the chocolate and you put it in mouth and you say it's not sweet at all. Why it is not sweet? Because you idiot fellow, you are supposed to remove the wrapper and then eat the chocolate. You are eating the chocolate with the wrapper and then you are saying it's not. What will that person do to you? Tell me. Pavam person, he gave you the chocolate. You are supposed to remove the wrapper and then eat. That's what we are doing right now. We are enjoying the life with the wrapper. And then we see there is no happiness in there won't be. You have to first remove the wrapper. The happiness is inside. If you eat it with wrapper, how will you experience that supreme bliss? Unless you are abiding in that knowledge of the self, the wrapper will not be totally removed, and therefore the happiness inside will not be experienced. And therefore one must experience that happiness, and for that one must be abided in that knowledge of the self, right? So you see now how the flow. If I have impurity of my mind, I will not even begin the journey, because I will not even have that desire to know the self. Even if the desire comes, even to gain the knowledge, I must have purity of mind. Even if I have that, even then to get established in that, to be abiding in that. To be abiding in that means what? I must feel it. Only mechanically saying that I am a man, I am not a rat, doesn't make me that. I must feel that I am a man. Similarly, I must feel that I am the supreme self of the nature of happiness. In all these steps, purification of mind is very, very, very important. Right? That is the point that now he concludes in the next verse, which we will be seeing in the next class, and then we will continue about what he says about how to purify the mind. All right. Now, those people who have studied Vedanta quite a bit, means not only some basic texts, but even some higher texts like Panchadashi, Jivan Mukti Viveka, etc. I see some of them who have studied that. Remember, in Jivan Mukti Viveka also, this topic is spoken of as Mano Nasha and Vasana Kshaya. Even after realization, even after that Tattva Jnana happens, to experience that Jivan Mukti Ananda, there are these two obstacles, mind and Vasana. And therefore, unless Mano Nasha and Vasana Kshaya happens, till that time, this experiencing of bliss will not take place. This is only for those who have been studying Jivan Mukti Viveka and such texts, such higher texts of Vedanta, right? So what Puja Guruji is saying here in a simple terms is the same thing that these higher Vedantic texts are telling, right? So to remove the impurities of mind is required in every step, right? That much is sufficient for today. If you have any question, you can ask. I humbly request, in between the talk, please don't ask questions, even in the chat, because it is very disturbing. My eyes go there and then I start reading, then the flow will go. If you have a question, you keep it with you. You can ask at the end all the questions, because sometimes it may happen that you will get the answer in my next sentence. So wait for it. Let me complete the session and then you can ask the question. Yes, Sadhana ji. Yes, you can switch on your video also. Then you can ask.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes, Amma.
Hari Om. I know I'm going on the topic, but you mentioned Vasana Nash as one of the solutions. So would it be far beyond the topic to just say briefly Vasana Nash how?
Not Vasana Nasha, Vasana Kshaya and Mano Nasha.
Mano Nasha, Vasana Kshaya.
Vasana Kshaya happens. Vasana Kshaya happens means what? The contradictory impressions which I have. Contradictory impressions means those which say that I am the individual ego, I am the jiva, those kind of vasanas arising from this understanding will be reduced, decayed. And unless I do that, and unless Manonasha means removing all the impurities of the mind, Unless that
Yeah.
happens, I won't be able to experience that unbridled freedom and that what we say complete happiness that
Yeah.
the realized master experience.
The first one is a very long, a long history of millions of years.
Amma, your voice was not clear.
It's breaking, voice is breaking.
Okay. I'll just repeat the power and force of Vasana. Not clear? Okay. I'll just ask once again. Is the power and force of Vasana is still too powerful to do ksha?
Yeah, but that is for us. This Vasanakshaya Manonasha we are talking about of a very higher advanced seeker. When the person reaches that stage, the Vasana flow is not that strong because he has developed another stronger force, and that of the knowledge. Right?
Is
Even
karmi
when we
one
are
of
gaining the knowledge, even that very Shravana that is happening, when we are gaining the knowledge, that itself is purifying the mind and reducing Vasanas. So when we reach there, the power of our knowledge is stronger and we can handle Vasana force at that time. So it will happen. Right now, you may feel that it is very far, but we go
Yes.
and then we will see that it is possible.
Thank you.
Okay, Hari Om. Yes, Archana ji, yes.
You. Sorry, I have a bad throat today, so it sound a little weird. But when you were saying verse 4, it's funny because we were listening to a talk on growing in devotion and I had the same question there and it's come back here. When you said that, because of your past karma, you might have got some inclination in God, but at some point, then the impurities in the mind have stopped you from going further. So is that why, sometimes you face a bad situation and then you just lose faith in God and get off that path? Would you say is that because your past karma probably brought you to the devotion and then because of your impurities or your weakness in your mind, it has prevented you from going further in the path?
Yes, it may be because of that.
Okay.
So not having faith is also one of the impurities.
Correct.
One of the very strong impurities rather.
Hmm.
That faith is such a positive factor that it can get rid of all the negativities. Actually,
Correct.
fear, anger, whatever we say can be tackled by that one strong positive mental thought called faith. So it may be because of that. Yes, it is possible.
It was always bothering me that why is it that you had it and then suddenly you lost it? And I know people say that God is calling you, you should go forward. But then why did we lose it was a question mark. And I've done this and I just kind of just stopped. Thank you so much.
It happens. But you see, again it will be some factor by which you will come back to that path. Again, it can be because of the grace of the Lord or Guru or Satsang or Purva Karma. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's okay. But it will happen again.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else? Any other question? Nagesh ji wants to ask. Yes, please unmute.
See, I have a question which is actually a continuation of the question I asked last time also. See, all of us have purpose and responsibilities, right? They may keep changing over a period of time. So is this another parampara that you referred to some time ago today? Is it then a given that you can never escape out of your purpose or responsibility unless you become irresponsible about them?
No, it's not about responsibility at all. See, it's a false responsibility that we have put on ourselves. We don't actually have that responsibility. Actually, our responsibility is towards knowing our true nature. That's our actual swadharma. That's the ultimate duty that we all have to do. But these are the false responsibilities that we have put on ourselves. Why? Because we think that we are so and so. The moment I think that I am Brahmachari Ved Chaitanya, then certain responsibilities will fall on my head. Right? Just like Arjuna at that time thought that I am disciple of Dronacharya. Then a different responsibility comes to him, that is not to insult his guru, But he forgot that he is not standing there as disciple of Dronacharya. He is standing there as warrior of Dharma. And Dronacharya is standing as warrior of Adharma. The moment identity is clear, you will understand what is your responsibility or duty and what is not your responsibility. So it's not being irresponsible. You cannot say that Arjuna fighting with Dronacharya in the battle was irresponsible of Arjuna. No, because that was not his responsibility to serve his guru at that time. Situation is different. He is studying in a Gurukula and should not fight with. That is okay because the situation is different. In this situation, his identity was a soldier. And therefore, serving his guru or listening to him was not his duty. That's a false responsibility that he would have taken on himself. And that's why he was saying that how can I kill them? Puja or how? They are worshipful people. No doubt they are worshipful people outside the battlefield. But inside battlefield, they are standing on Adharma side. How can you say they are worshipful? No doubt that feeling of respect should be there the moment we are out of this battlefield. Yes. But here, no. So you don't have to be irresponsible. You have to understand your identity so that you will discard the false responsibility that you have taken on yourself.
Okay. So you're saying, sorry, just for my clarification, yeah.
Gurudev would explain it something with an example that suppose you are traveling in a train and in the train you are carrying the bag on your head. Why? Because you are saying that I should take responsibility of my own bag. Why I should burden the train with my luggage? It's foolish of you to think like that. Why? Because finally you are in the train. So anyways, the burden of the bag is right now on the train itself. You can keep it down. Anyways, it is being carried by that. Now, this is a false responsibility that I have taken on myself. I hope that clarifies. Yes. Something else you wanted to ask?
So sorry, please bear with me, Chaitanya ji. See, now my question is this. Let's say I'm a grahastha. Okay, I'm a grahastha, and during my life, from my college days to family days, whatever, there was a responsibility, etc., which I need to fulfill, whether you like it or not. The point that I'm asking is, in the context of that anartha parampara, is there then an inherent conflict between the search for the supreme or search for the self and this responsibilities as a grahastha?
No, there is not. Because the way of coming out of that avidya, kama, karma, anartha parampara is by doing your duties.
Okay.
So when Arjuna said at that time that I will run away and I will become a bhikshu, Bhagavan said, no, you do your duty. You are a warrior, you fight. You are a grahastha, you take care of your family. Through duty only you can come out of this anartha parampara. Actually speaking, that anartha parampara, that kama, desire is there, no? That desire is enemy of duty. See, you often do wrong things which are not part of your duty because of desire. So doing your duty is actually the way to come out of this anartha parampara. It is not contradictory. It is actually the way. So spiritual path is not saying that you should not do your responsibility. Rather than it is saying that you must do your duty. In whichever phase of life you are. You may be grahastha or vanaprastha or whatever. You must do your duty.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Anything? Any other question? Shall we conclude then? So to summarize, what did we see today? That this purification of mind is essential not only in our personal worldly life, but also in spiritual life. And even in spiritual life, at every stage of spiritual evolution, it is important. Without that purity, we won't even start with the desire to know that reality. Without it, we won't even gain the knowledge. And even if somehow we get that desire and we gain the knowledge, that establishing, abiding in the self-knowledge will not happen unless these impurities of mind are totally removed. And therefore, we must work on removing these impurities of mind. That's where we will stop. We'll see the sixth verse which summarizes this point in the next session, and we will go forward. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.